You are lying on the cold, hard ground. It is 50,000 years ago. There are no walls, no locks, no cozy blankets. Above you is nothing but a vast, indifferent canopy of stars. And somewhere in the pitch-black savanna, a twig suddenly snaps. For 99% of human history, this wasn't a camping trip. Every single night was a terrifying game of survival roulette. Think about your body. We have no sharp claws, our teeth are flat, and our night vision is frankly embarrassing compared to a cat. Sleep renders us unconscious and completely defenseless. So how on earth did our ancestors survive the dark without becoming a midnight snack? Before we solve this evolutionary puzzle, if you are fascinated by the hidden origins of human behavior, make sure to subscribe to Primal Canvas. Let's put the sheer danger into perspective. A spotted hyena prowling the ancient darkness possessed a bone-crushing bite force of over 1,100 psi. The average human jaw? We max out at a pathetic 162 psi. We were essentially soft, slow, and fleshy. When you look at the raw data, by all biological metrics, closing our eyes for 8 hours straight should have driven us to extinction. So, what was the solution? You might think our ancestors simply climbed up and slept in the trees to avoid the ground predators. But that is a deadly misconception. Ancient leopards were master climbers, perfectly capable of dragging prey twice their weight high into the branches. Well, what about caves? Surely finding a deep cavern with a solid rock wall at your back would keep the monsters at bay. Fortunately, the best prehistoric real estate was already occupied. Deep caves were the primary dens for massive cave bears and giant hyenas. Up in the trees, you get eaten. Down in the caves, you get eaten. Out in the open savanna, you are definitely dead. Fire helped, but it wasn't enough. The real secret to our survival lies elsewhere, hidden in the bizarre way the human brain powers down. In 2017, an evolutionary anthropologist named Dr. David Sampson decided to study the Hadza people of Tanzania. The Hadza are one of the last true hunter-gatherer tribes on Earth, sleeping outdoors in environments full of predators, just like our ancestors. Researchers strapped high-tech activity trackers to 33 tribe members to monitor their exact sleep and wake cycles over 20 days. The results were absolutely staggering. Out of over 200 hours of observation, how much time do you think the entire group was asleep simultaneously? Just 18 minutes. For 99.8% of the time, at least one person in the group was completely awake. This phenomenon is known in evolutionary biology as the sentinel hypothesis, and it explains a lot about your modern sleep habits. You know how some people are extreme night owls, easily staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning without feeling tired at all? While others are natural early birds, springing out of bed at 4 a.m. completely full of energy? That's not random. Evolution actively designed these mismatched sleep schedules, known as chronotypes. It is a built-in survival mechanism for the whole tribe. When a group consists of mixed chronotypes, the tribe naturally creates an overlapping shift work system without even trying. Someone is always on guard. While the early birds slept off the day's exhaustion, the night owls kept watch. When the owls finally crashed, the early birds were up. So, if you suffer from modern insomnia or simply cannot force yourself to fall asleep before midnight, you aren't necessarily broken. You might just have the genetics of a prehistoric night watchman, doing exactly what evolution designed you to do. But having a sentinel awake is only half the equation. What happens if the guard falls asleep? Or if you are forced to sleep alone? That is when the human brain activates its most bizarre, hidden defense mechanism. And it is something you have almost certainly experienced yourself. In 2016, researchers at Brown University uncovered a hidden mechanism inside the human brain. It is called the first night effect. Have you ever slept in a strange hotel room or a new environment and woken up feeling exhausted? Feel like you barely slept at all? And scientifically speaking, you didn't. half of your brain stayed awake. Study found that in a novel environment, the left hemisphere of the human brain remains significantly more active than the right. It stays in a state of hypervigilance, acting like a night watchman for your unconscious body. For our ancestors constantly moving across the savanna, every new campsite was a novel environment. Every shadow was a potential threat. When they closed their eyes, their brains didn't fully power down. They engaged in a mild form of unihemispheric sleep. If a predator snapped a twig in the dark, the alert hemisphere processed the sound instantly. It triggered an immediate wake-up response, allowing our soft, fleshy ancestors to grab a spear before the hyena could strike. Dolphins and birds do this to an extreme level, literally sleeping with one eye open. We do a subtler version of it. Your brain essentially acts like a motion sensor security camera that never fully powers down when it senses potential danger. So, that terrible sleep you get on your first night on vacation, that is your ancient survival software running perfectly. Between mixed chronotypes keeping a physical watch and half-awake brains acting as internal alarms, humanity managed to survive the night. But there is one final piece to this evolutionary puzzle. A piece that fire, biology, and brainwaves cannot explain. Evolution gives every predator a physical weapon, but what it gave humans was far more profound and entirely invisible. We often think of evolution as a brutal arms race of sharp teeth, venom, and raw physical power. Lions evolved explosive muscle. Hyenas developed those terrifying bone-crushing jaws. And ancient leopards mastered the art of stealth. And what did Homo sapiens get? We were handed a massive, energy-hungry brain that demands hours of unconsciousness, wrapped in a soft, completely defenseless body. But our ultimate survival mechanism in the dark wasn't physical strength. It wasn't even the bizarre, half-awake brain hemisphere we just uncovered. Our greatest weapon was something completely invisible to the fossil record. It was the capacity for extreme social cohesion and empathy. Think about what the sentinel shift work system actually requires in practice. It goes far beyond just staying awake when you are not tired. It requires an ancient human to look at their exhausted, vulnerable tribe member sleeping by the dying embers of a campfire and make a conscious, silent promise. You can close your eyes. I will stay awake and watch the terrifying dark for you. Every single night, for hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors entrusted their lives to the vigilance of the person sitting next to them. We did not survive the prehistoric savanna because we were the strongest, the fastest, or the most dangerous animals in the dark. We survived because we were the only species capable of building an unbreakable web of absolute trust within our community. Predators didn't just stumble upon sleeping humans and decide to ignore them out of pity or lack of appetite. They learned, generation after generation, that a solitary sleeping ape might be an easy meal, but a sleeping ape surrounded by a watchful tribe was a deadly trap. We turned our shared vulnerability into an impenetrable fortress, built not out of stone, but out of social bonds. This radical level of cooperation, born in the terror of the prehistoric night, became the very foundation upon which all of human civilization was built. We survived because we made a silent, unconscious pact, an evolutionary agreement that the group is infinitely stronger than the individual. This wasn't just about sharing food or crafting better tools. It was about sharing the absolute vulnerability of being unconscious. So, the next time you complain about your weird sleep schedule or your inability to sleep properly in a strange hotel room, remember that these are not glitches or biological flaws. They are ancient survival badges, worn proudly by your evolutionary lineage. Let's go back to that cold, dark savanna one last time. You are lying on the ground. The stars are vast. A twig snaps in the distance. The apex predators with their bone-crushing jaws are out there, circling the camp. But this time, you aren't terrified. You close your eyes and you finally rest. Because right beside you, someone you trust with your life is wide awake, silently watching the shadows. Today, you lock your thick front door, turn off the bedside lamp, and pull up a warm, soft blanket. You sleep safely, completely and utterly isolated from the dangerous realities of the wild world. But always remember that deep, peaceful sleep is a profound luxury, a luxury built on thousands of generations of ancient sentinels who willingly stayed awake in the dark for you. Of course, history is always being rewritten as new evidence emerges. Some details of our ancient past remain hypotheses that researchers are still passionately debating. And that is exactly what makes the journey into our human origins so endlessly fascinating. If you want to uncover more hidden truths about why we do the things we do today, subscribe to Primal Canvas.